Photo editing, what you need to know and not worry about. In this video, I explain photo editing and why you shouldn't worry about it. Watch it and you'll have a warm, cozy glow and know how to approach editing your photos. No, I'm not telling you how to edit your photos. That's far too boring and time consuming. No, I'm telling you how to approach editing photos. And you'll also learn how to edit photos more quickly and understand which photos you should edit and, more significantly, not edit. What is not to love, eh? Hi, I'm Rick, creator and indeed all things at the Splendid Photography Explained podcast. I hope that you're well. I'd like to start with the answering bit from episode 184 of the Splendid Photography Explained podcast, and it is this. Photo editing should be about enhancing what is in an image, making a photo look the best that it can, making an image as appealing as possible. And this is done by being picky about which photos you edit, extracting as much data out of an image as possible, cropping to improve the composition, correcting technical issues, global adjustments, local adjustments, removing unwanted stuff when it's okay to, and not spending forever editing photos. Right, well that's possibly not what you're expecting, so let me talk about a couple of these now. And that's not in a scripted way, no, not in this video. Being very picky about which photos you edit. Well, when you've been out taking photos and you get back to wherever you edit your photos, how do you know which photos to edit? What are you going to do? If you've got 100 photos, what are you going to do? Are you going to try and edit all 100 or are you going to edit one? Now, if you've only taken one photo, you've got one photo to edit, haven't you? Which is why I advocate taking less photos, because you got less photos to sort through to try and find a good one. And that's what I used to do. I used to photograph anything and everything and get back and try and find something good to edit. And that's soul destroying. So be picky about which photo you're going to edit. My one photo rule. Well, I've talked about this a lot. Episode 152 is all about my one photo rule. And this is what my one photo rule is. Take one photo. I know, what else would it be? Seriously, take one photo of something and then move on to something else. It is that simple. You don't need to take 10 photos of the same thing. You don't. Take one photo. If you can restrict yourself to one photo, you get rid of the problem of which photos to edit because you got that one, haven't you? Marvellous. And if that's too much for you, take less photos. Take less photos and you got less photos to go through. And the other part of this is if you're just taking photos of things without any thought, you're probably not going to get great photos, are you? No, probably not. But if you take less photos but you really think about what you're photographing, you've got a better chance of getting better photos. So what's not to love about taking less but better photos? It's good, isn't it? So I think there's some cutting of paving stones or something outside, which is really, really, really helpful on recording day. Okay, we're into editing now. I did say I wasn't going to teach you how to edit, but I just want to give you some general pointers. And the first one is this. First thing you do is crop a photo. Now, if you're not going to crop it because you're happy with it, fine, move on. But I look at cropping first, and if a crop can make a composition better, I'll do that. And when I'm doing the crop, I'm also making sure that I've got horizontals horizontal and verticals vertical, because that can affect the crop. Because if you're photographing a building and you've got to do a big correction, you might lose some stuff around the edges. Oh, top tip there, if you're photographing a building, you know you're going to have to do that to straighten it up. Give yourself plenty of space around the edges, or you might not have all the building. Right, don't crop at the end, because you might be cropping out stuff you spent time editing, and there's no sense in that, is there? So do the crop first, get the composition that you want, and then you can move on to the next thing, which is global adjustments. So I do global adjustments to, well, all the photo. That's why they're called global adjustments. Things like contrast, texture, vibrance, stuff like that. I will do those to the whole of a photo, and then I'll go on to do local adjustments, which are adjustments to smaller parts of the photo. Examples will be whatever the subject matter is, I'll make that a little bit lighter and I'll make the bits around it a little bit darker. And that's all I'm doing is these fine adjustments. What that does is it makes the subject stand out a bit more because the human eye's drawn to the lightest parts of the photo. And it also gives a bit more contrast between what's around it. So you're just helping the subject matter become more prominent, which is what we're all about, isn't it? Removing stuff. Well, is it okay to remove stuff? The answer to most photography questions is, it depends. It depends what you're removing and why you're removing it. If I'm photographing a building that's just been built, I'm going to be removing all sorts of stuff, and I'm talking skips, bins, piles of rubbish, hose pipes, debris, it's all stuff that won't be there once the builders have properly gone and left the site. So the stuff that's permanently there, I won't delete that. I won't remove it. So that's what I do. And the same applies to people. Yes, it's fine to remove people from photos, and sometimes we need to. So removing stuff's fine as long as the purpose of the photo isn't compromised by you removing stuff. What do I mean by that waffly sentence? Well, if you remove stuff from a photo and you enter it into a competition, you might be breaking the rules. And with photojournalism, you don't remove stuff. The photo is the photo. They're the two notable exceptions. So just be open and honest about what you're removing and why, if you need to. When I say if you need to, I don't need to explain to a client that I've removed all the debris from around a building. Actually, I do, don't I? So I can get paid more for the editing time. Move on, Rick. Oh, time. Yeah, talking of time, don't spend forever editing photos. There's no need. There's no need. If you're spending an hour editing a photo, you need to look at yourself and think, is that really a good use of my time? Now, if you love editing photos, if that's your thing, absolutely fine. You crack on. But if you're spending an hour editing a photo and you're not sure why, and you don't seem to be getting much benefit from the last, 55, 56, 57 minutes, then you need some help, don't you? Which I will cover in episode 185 again. Yeah, I'll cover it again in a time-saving episode. Last point, enjoyment. Editing photos. It should be a joy, shouldn't it? When I'm editing photos for a client, I enjoy doing it because I know I'm not going to be taking forever doing it, and I know that I'm making my photos look the best I can, and I absolutely love doing that. But if you're seemingly spending forever editing photos and you're not sure why, and you're not enjoying it, and it's a real drag, it can really kick the enjoyment out of photography. So that's why it's good to just get your editing time sorted out and get the enjoyment back. Right, I'm done. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, feel free to like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. There's lots more good stuff on the way, of course there is. And you can also listen to the full podcast episodes on this channel too, which is nice, isn't it? So, thanks for watching. Take care, stay safe. Cheers from me, Rick.